Hello friends, I welcome you to your own YouTube channel. In this video we will discuss about central bank digital currency, digital rupee. This topic is divided into a total of 8 subsections, such as introduction, definition of CBDC, key motivations for launch, type of CBDC, forms of CBDC, features of CBDC, global scenario, limitations, and way forward. Introduction. India has made impressive progress towards innovation in digital payments. A separate law for payment and settlement systems has been enacted, which has enabled an orderly development of the payment ecosystem in the country. The present state-of-the-art payment systems that are affordable, accessible, convenient, efficient, safe, secure and available all days a year are a matter of pride for the whole nation as, in many cases, India is far ahead of the most developed countries also in this area. Having already introduced the first pilot in the digital rupee wholesale segment on 1st November 2022, the Reserve Bank has announced the launch of the first pilot for retail digital rupee on 1st December 2022. This places India as one of the front runners as most of the major economies of the world have not introduced the central bank digital currency as yet. Definition of CBDC. Reserve Bank of India broadly defines CBDC, digital rupee, as the legal tender issued by a central bank in a digital form. It is akin to sovereign paper currency but takes a different form, exchangeable at par with the existing currency and shall be accepted as a medium of payment, legal tender, and a safe store of value. CBDC is a digital or virtual currency, but it is not comparable to the private virtual currencies that have mushroomed over the last decade. Private virtual currencies sit at substantial odds to the historical concept of money. They are not commodities or claims on commodities as they have no intrinsic value. Union Budget 2022 to 2023 announcement. The Government of India announced the launch of the digital rupee, a central bank digital currency, CBDC, from 2022 to 2023 onwards in the Union Budget placed in the Parliament on 1st February 2022. Key motivations for launch. CBDC, being a sovereign currency, holds unique advantages of central bank money, trust, safety, liquidity, settlement finality, and integrity. The key motivations for exploring the issuance of CBDC in India, among others, include reduction in operational costs involved in physical cash management, fostering financial inclusion, bringing resilience, efficiency, and innovation in the payment system, adding efficiency to the settlement system, boosting innovation in cross-border payment space, and providing public with uses that any private virtual currencies can provide, without the associated risks. The use of the offline feature in CBDC would also be beneficial in remote locations and offer availability and resilience benefits when electrical power or mobile network is not available. CBDCs will provide the public with the benefits of virtual currencies while ensuring consumer protection by avoiding the damaging social and economic consequences of private virtual currencies, cryptocurrencies. Type of CBDC. CBDC can be classified into two broad types, general purpose or retail, CBDC retail, and wholesale, CBDC wholesale. Retail CBDC would be potentially available for use by all, private sector, non-financial consumers, and businesses, while wholesale CBDC is designed for restricted access to select financial institutions. While wholesale CBDC is intended for the settlement of interbank transfers and related wholesale transactions, retail CBDC is an electronic version of cash primarily meant for retail transactions. Forms of CBDC. CBDC can be structured as token-based or account-based. A token-based CBDC is a bearer instrument like banknotes, meaning whosoever holds the tokens at a given point in time would be presumed to own them. In contrast, an account-based system would require maintenance of record of balances and transactions of all holders of the CBDC and indicate the ownership of the monetary balances. Considering the features offered by both the forms of CBDCs, a token-based CBDC is viewed as a preferred mode for CBDC retail as it would be closer to physical cash, while an account-based CBDC may be considered for CBDC wholesale. Features of CBDC: sovereign currency issued by central bank, liability on central bank's balance sheet, accepted as a medium of payment or legal tender, freely convertible against cash, holders need not have a bank account, lowers cost of issuance of money and transactions. CBDC Global Scenario. Across the globe, more than 60 central banks have expressed interest in CBDC, with a few implementations already under pilot across both retail and wholesale categories, and many others are researching, testing, and or launching their own CBDC framework. As of July 2022, there are 105 countries in the process of exploring CBDC, a number that covers 95% of the global gross domestic product, GDP. 10 countries have launched a CBDC, the first of which was the Bahamian Sand Dollar in 2020, and the latest was Jamaica's Jamdex. Currently, 17 other countries, including major economies like China and South Korea, are in the pilot stage and preparing for possible launches. China was the first large economy to pilot a CBDC in April 2020, and it aims for widespread domestic use of the ECNY by 2023. Increasingly, CBDCs are being seen as a promising invention and as the next step in the evolutionary progression of sovereign currency. Different jurisdictions have justified the adoption of CBDC for very diverse reasons. Some of them are enumerated below. Central banks, faced with dwindling usage of paper currency, seek to popularize a more acceptable electronic form of currency, like Sweden. Jurisdictions with significant physical cash usage seeking to make issuance more efficient, like Denmark, Germany, Japan, or even the US. Countries with geographical barriers restricting the physical movement of cash had the motivation to go for CBDC. Central banks seek to meet the public's need for digital currencies, manifested in the increasing use of private virtual currencies, and thereby avoid the more damaging consequences of such private currencies. Limitations and way forward. In India, out of the nearly 140 crore population, 82.5 crore people have internet access. This means many Indians will not be able to use CBDCs due to connectivity unavailability. To ensure the widespread use of CBDC, offline capabilities need to be incorporated. CBDC ecosystems may be at similar risk for cyber attacks as the current payment systems are exposed to. The cybersecurity considerations need to be taken care of both for the item and the environment. For example, while the token creation process should ensure the highest levels of cryptography to ensure security at the item level, the transaction of tokens also needs to be secured to ensure a trusted environment. Conclusion: CBDC is aimed to complement, rather than replace, current forms of money and is envisaged to provide an additional payment avenue to users, not to replace the existing payment systems. Supported by state-of-the-art payment systems of India that are affordable, accessible, convenient, efficient, safe and secure, the digital rupee system will further bolster India's digital economy.